Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in this week's video we're going to be talking about the 5 easiest reptiles that I've got here to keep. Welcome to Beach's Scaly Beasts, where I focus on the natural keeping of herpetofauna and marine aquaria. So that's right guys, 5 easiest reptiles of mine to keep here, and I will kind of put them into a few little groups as well. And we're going to start with number 5, which is some of my larger frog species. So usually in the past I would have thought frogs were actually pretty difficult to keep, but I've made my life a little bit easier with these guys by having some systems in place, such as my Miss King system and the bioactive rack here behind me, which makes sure that my frogs are getting a little mist a couple of times a day just to make sure that they're nice and hydrated and staying a little bit humid. So this makes them super easy to keep, especially when they're in bioactive terrariums such as these behind me. In the past, when I've tried to keep frogs in a very sterile environment that you're cleaning out all the time, I found them very difficult to keep because you're constantly going in there, stripping everything down, cleaning everything to the nines, and making sure that it was all polished and smick. Whereas nowadays, when I'm keeping them in this bioactive rack, like all these bioactive tanks and stuff that I've got here behind me, I let other critters do that job mainly for me, and I might spot clean here or there. Little Sonic here was being a bit of a pain. He was running around up in his enclosure making a whole bunch of noise, so I decided I may as well just get him out for the video. He won't feature in this video so much, but at least I'll keep him quiet while I'm filming. So as I was saying, frogs come in at number 5, especially the larger species, not like the small species we were talking about in the last video. Those guys are a lot more difficult to keep due to food size, whereas these larger guys like my red-eyed tree frogs, my Perron's tree frogs, even my little white-lipped tree frog up there, and the green stream frogs, you're right. Those guys are a lot easier to keep because they are eating a larger size food items such as medium crickets and large crickets and things like that, whereas it's you're just telling everyone who's boss, mate. Bearded dragons. So those guys there, they're very easy to keep, and we will move on now to number 4. Number 4 in my collection of the easiest animals to keep that I've got here is actually going to be my northern velvet geckos. These guys are so easy to keep. They can handle cold, they can handle heat, they'll eat whatever you put in front of them. They're ferocious little feeders. They can just about handle anything that you throw at them. The only downside that makes them a difficult animal to keep is because they're a sticky pad little gecko. They poo all over the glass all the time. So that can make them a little bit more difficult if you don't like cleaning glass, much like myself. But all in all, seriously, very, very easy animals to keep and look after. So on the list for number 3 of my most easiest to keep reptiles here is actually going to be my turtles. So if you haven't already, make sure you go check out a few of the videos that I've done on my turtle pond. Those guys are so simple to keep. I literally just do a water change maybe once every 3 months, a good water change, probably about 80% on there. Give them a good clean out, good muck out, clean out the filter. But that's about a once every 12 weeks, maybe even 16 weeks, depending on how much food's been going into the pond. And they're honestly so easy to keep. The sun's free, they're out there. I'm feeding them things like pellets and little bits of chunks of fish and stuff where I need to. They're super simple to look after, in particular in an outdoor environment. I find that turtles are way more difficult to keep indoors because you do need sufficient UVB lighting, good heat, and you need to be able to keep up with those water changes because generally a turtle enclosure inside an aquarium is a lot smaller than you can make an outdoor pond. Always take that into consideration whenever you're keeping any sort of aquatic animal. The fact that the more water you have, is actually going to be way easier to keep than a smaller environment. Sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but it's true. So number 2 on my most easy to keep reptile list here is actually going to be my blotch blue tongues. Again, they are outdoors, super simple to keep. I've got them in altered rabbit hutches that make sure that they're nice and secure, and it also means that they get all that good beneficial UVB sunlight. The only thing I have to do is make sure that I'm watching out for rain and putting a tarp over them where I need to be. And I also have to be also a little bit more cautious these days because I have had some rats break into the enclosure and unfortunately nibble on a couple of my lizards. But other than that, super simple to keep outdoors. Just make sure that your enclosure is super secure for both the animals in the enclosure and from animals outside of the enclosure. That's a lesson learned on my behalf that I'm going to pass through to you guys. They're always out there enjoying the sunlight, and they're basically just eating some easy foods that I can get from the supermarket, things like dog food and cat kibble. It's super simple to feed these guys, and then every now and then I give them a bit of a treat with some mince or egg or mice or something like that just to bulk them up, but they don't mind a bit of protein. And if you want to, you can even throw in some frozen veggies into your dog food mix to give them a bit more of a variety, because they are omnivorous lizards at the end of the day. So last but not least, the group of animals that are going to come in at number 1 of easiest animals to keep in my collection are my pythons, because pythons are super simple. Honestly, you can get away with feeding pythons once a fortnight, once a month. When it's cold, they don't eat for 4 or 5 months of the year, which means they don't poo. Super simple. Just whack some water into their enclosure to make sure they stay nice and hydrated, and give them a little bit of heat to stay warm. But they honestly come in at the most low maintenance here whatsoever. The biggest thing about maintenance with a python is actually just cleaning up after them, and usually cleaning some glass. Their food, you don't have to worry about live foods and things like that. You know, you can keep it in a freezer, there's no smells, you don't have to keep bugs like the chirping crickets and things. They, you know, only eat every once in a while. They are honestly the most easy pets out there to look after. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this little video of me rambling on about the easiest animals to keep that are in my personal collection. I hope you enjoyed Sonic coming along for the ride here, cheeky little level. And yeah, make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel to check out some more content that'll be coming out here. I've got loads of enclosures that I'm building at the moment. I'm going to be talking about all my critters, especially coming into summer as well, where everything's kind of waking up a little bit. So there'll be a lot to do around here. If you did really like the video, make sure to drop it a like, give it a comment, subscribe to the channel. Check out the Teespring store, get some cool reptile merch like this awesome leaf-tail gecko shirt here. And if you really do want to be an even bigger part of the whole picture here, you can jump over onto Patreon as well and give a little donation where you can. So thanks so much for sticking around for this video, guys. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.